announcement.
Honourable members, today, on the occasion of the 137th anniversary of the Inter-Parliamentary Union, the IPU, we commemorate the International Day of Parliamentarism. We join parliaments around the world who are members of the IPU and, like us, are observing this important occasion under the theme, What Parliaments are Doing to Bring Human Rights into Focus. This theme is a timely reminder that the promotion and protection of human rights lie at the very heart of parliamentary democracy. Parliament is not merely a law-making institution. It is the guardian of the rights and freedoms of the people whom we serve. Last year, I told you that it is within these walls that the fundamental rights and freedoms, as enshrined in our Constitution, can become living realities. Our role is multifaceted and is often much more than meets the eyes. Through legislation, oversight, and representation, we have a duty to ensure that the principles of equality, justice, dignity, and non-discrimination are reflected in our laws, policies, and public institutions. Our responsibility is not only to uphold fundamental rights, but also to ensure that they are meaningful and accessible to all members of our society. At the same time, we must also ensure that every citizen is responsible because everyone has a duty of respect for the rights of others and those of our community as a whole. As representatives of the people, we must strive to enforce a parliamentary culture based on respect, inclusion, accountability, and constructive dialogue. In so doing, we shall strengthen public confidence in our democratic institutions and contribute to building a more just and equitable society. On this International Day of Parliamentarism, let us reaffirm our commitment to placing human rights at the center of our work. Let us ensure that the National Assembly remains a forum where the rights, aspirations, and concerns of all Mauritians are given due consideration. Honourable members, you may speak here without fear or favour on ideas in which you believe, but I expect you to do so always with a high standard of respect for those who do not share those ideas. Honourable members, I do not normally abuse of quotations, but today I want to end by a quote attributed to famous writer and defender of free speech and civil liberties, Voltaire. In English, I disapprove of what you say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it. En français, je ne suis pas d'accord avec ce que vous dites, mais je me battrai jusqu'à la mort pour que vous ayez le droit de le dire. This, to me, expresses clearly what should be our spirit in a democratic parliament. Thank you.
Papers have been laid. Questions?
Yes, Honourable Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I've given notice of the following private notice question addressed to the Honourable Minister of Social Integration, Social Security and National Solidarity, whether in regard to the pension reforms, including the introduction of the National Pension and Provident Fund and the abolition of the Portable Retirement Gratuity Fund, PRGF, he will state whether A, his ministry held consultations with the Roman I Ministry of Finance in relation thereto, and if so, indicate the dates of the meetings, the persons in attendance, and outcome thereof. Roman 2, Commission of Experts in relation thereto, prior to the introduction thereof and to the Cabinet meeting of Friday 19th June 2026, and B, an interministerial committee or a steering committee has been set up to look into the abolition of the PRGF, and if so, indicate the names of the members thereof. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Leader of the Opposition. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, it is recalled that at paragraph 240 of the Budget Speech 2025-2026, the Prime Minister has announced that in order to address this burning issue, that is pension issue, we are setting up a commission of experts to make recommendation to reform the various pillars of our pension system, including revamping the national pension funds to replace the CSG. The Prime Minister said, I will personally chair a steering committee to assess and act on the recommendations of the Commission. As Minister, I was handed over in July 2025 by the then Deputy Prime Minister a copy of the draft terms of reference for the setting up of a committee of experts to look into the pension reforms. In September 2025, I officially submitted my views in writing on the matter as Minister of Social Integration, Social Security, and National Solidarity to the Prime Minister and copied to the then Deputy Prime Minister. Madam Speaker, in Cabinet highlights of 26 September 2025, Cabinet agreed to the setting up of a committee of experts to make recommendations to reform the various pillars of the pension system, including the revamping of the National Pensions Fund, to replace the contribution sociale généralisée to be constituted, and the committee of experts was to be constituted as follows. A, Mr. Naresh Singh Prayag, actuary, as chairperson. B, Mr. Beano Yen, actuary. C, Mr. Azad Jitan, economist. D, Mrs. Verena Tandayan Raghuba, as economist. E, Mr. Satar Jakaria, actuary. F, Mr. Yvan Legris, actuary. And G, Miss Li Fa Aimé Chang Kai Shuet, statistician. According to its terms of reference, which have been worked out in consultation with the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank, the Commission of Experts will review, I'm quoting the Cabinet decision, Commission of Experts will review the portable retirement gratuity fund, the national saving funds, the statutory bodies pension funds, the civil service defined benefits and defined contribution pension schemes, the family protection scheme, as well as pension scheme for public officials. The Commission will look into the revamping of the National Pension Fund to replace the contribution sociale généralisée. In addition, the Commission will assist in defining a long-term strategy for the financial sustainability of the pension system and will provide an actual and fiscal sustainability report showing the long-term projections of pension liabilities and expenditures over a 20-30-year horizon, and B, a cost-benefit analysis by comparing the existing contributory pension system with potential alternative models. Cabinet further agreed to the setting up of a steering committee on pension reform, which will provide guidance to the Commission on the strategic direction and policy priorities for the reform on the pension system, and assess and act on the recommendation of the Commission under the chair of the Prime Minister and the following members: A, the Deputy Prime Minister; B, the Minister of Agro-Industry, Food Security, Blue Economy and Fisheries; C, the Minister of Social Integration, Social Security and National Solidarity; D, the Minister of Financial Services and Economic Planning; E, the Minister of Labour and Industrial Relations; F, the Minister of Industry, SME and Cooperatives; and G, the Junior Minister of Finance and the Junior Minister of Social Integration, Social Security and National Solidarity. The Secretariat of the Pensions Reform Committee comprised officers of my ministry, of Ministry of Finance and my ministry. Madam Speaker, I wish to highlight that on the 7th of November 2025, a press communique from the Committee of Experts was issued inviting proposals from the public on pensions reforms. Consultations were held with several stakeholders, mainly the Financial Service Commission, the SECOM, Family Protection Scheme, and trade unions, amongst others. Madam Speaker, on the 20th May 2026, a working session was held whereby a PowerPoint presentation was made by the expert to the Inter-Ministerial Committee. I, as well as other ministers and junior ministers, members of the steering committee who were present, raised a series of issues. I requested for a meeting with the Prime Minister since 27th May 2026 on pension issues related to the PowerPoint presentation made and the forthcoming budget. On the 16th June 2026, I met the Prime Minister in the presence of his financial advisors and experts, and as a caring minister, I raised several concerns. On the budget day, 19th June 2026, a series of measures was announced and detailed in the budget itself and annexed to the budget. Madam Speaker, after taking cognizance of the details announced and the feedback received from my colleague of my party, we realized that the means testing must be frozen and some of the measures proposed must be further discussed. On Sunday, 21st June 2026, I received a communication from the Prime Minister for an urgent meeting to discuss issues concerning pension in the budget. After this meeting, the Prime Minister made a statement on Monday, 22nd June 2026, in the Parliament, in the National Assembly, that the means testing was frozen, and in reply to the private notice question for the sitting of 25th June 2026, the Prime Minister further added that the means testing was out, and very importantly, he tabled a printed version of the PowerPoint presentation which contains the other pillars of the pension reform, including the revamping of the NPF. Madam Speaker, as a matter of fact, while the NPF fall under the aegis of my ministry, the PRGF falls under the purview of the Ministry of Labour and Industrial Relations, and my ministry is the administrator and paying agent for same. Let me, as a matter of fact, let me inform the House of the fund evolution of the NPF, PRGF, and NSF. In June 2020, the NPF fund amounted to 129. I will round the figures. 129 billion rupees. In 2021, 149 billion rupees. In 2020, 242 billion rupees. In June 2023, 145 billion rupees. In June 2024, 154 billion rupees. In June 2025, that is as of now, 159 billion rupees. I've rounded the figure. The PRGF in June 2020 amounted, I'm rounding the figure again, to some 20 billion rupees. In June 2021, it amounts to 44 billion rupees. And I'm correcting. I'm correcting, Madam Speaker. I'll give the figure for 2022 because all the operation of the PRGF, in fact, started really functioning because of COVID as from June 22. And from June 2022, the fund of the PRGF amounted to 1.1 billion rupees. 2023, 2.8 billion rupees. June 2024, 5.5 billion rupees. And June 2025, 8.7 billion rupees. These are facts. Madam Speaker, as regard to part A of the question, that is whether my ministry held consultation with the Ministry of Finance in relation thereto, and if so, indicate the dates of the meeting, the person in attendance and outcome. The answer is, except for the meeting referred in my answer above, I had no meeting. The person in attendance, as I mentioned, were the experts, the financial advisors of the Prime Minister and the Financial Secretary. Madam Speaker, as regard to part A2 of the question, that is whether my ministry held consultation with the Commission of Experts in relation thereto prior to the introduction thereof and the Cabinet decision of Friday, 19th June 2026. Again, as mentioned above, a PowerPoint presentation was made on the 20th May 2026 by the Committee of Experts to members of the Inter-Ministerial Committee. I was present there together with the junior minister who is member of the steering committee. We attended this meeting. Madam Speaker, with regard to part B of the question, that is whether an inter-ministerial committee or steering committee has been set up to look into the abolition of the PRGF, and if so, indicate the names of the members thereof. I already mentioned the names of the steering committee in my when I explained the chronology and the history of the event. My answer would be, since the interministerial committee is chaired by the Prime Minister, it is up to the Prime Minister to decide on the matter. This would be my reply to the PNQ of the leader of the opposition.
Thank you. First supplementary, leader.
Merci, Madame la Présidente. Et j'espère que je me trompe. J'ai comme l'impression que le ministre a un double langage. Un langage pour les membres de cette auguste assemblée et un autre langage pour la population.
Don't impute motives.
Can I directly ask that question
Yes.
to the Honorable Minister? Will he confirm to the House whether he is satisfied
You cannot
with the
ask.
report of the experts?
You cannot ask for his opinion.
This is
You cannot ask for his opinion. Next question.
because the nation wants to know whether
But
he
you
is
still-
with them or against them, Madam
But
Speaker.
you still have to respect the standing
Madam
orders.
Speaker, with regard to the abolition of the PRGF, is the Honorable Minister saying to this House and the population at large that he is fully agreeable with that decision?
Again,
This is a question of opinion. And the standing order doesn't allow it. And I will say that the matter is still under discussion.
okay. Next, the matter, he said.
The same Honorable Minister, Madam Speaker, let me refresh his memory. He stated in a press conference last year that
You
he is in favor of maintaining
Again.
the PRGF.
I'm sorry.
Does it mean?
I'm sorry, leader of the opposition. Again, you're not supposed to refer to newspapers. I can cite you. I can cite you the.
What he said in the press.
But you are referring to a newspaper nonetheless. You're a seasoned politician. You know what is allowed, what is not allowed. So, please,
Madam Speaker, last year in a public announcement, the minister stated that he is in favor of maintaining the PRGF. Does it mean that now he is for the abolition of PRGF as mentioned in the annex of the budget speech?
Madam Speaker, as I said, the matter is under consideration. We must thank the Prime Minister who has done two things. First, freezing and getting out the ministers from the pension reform. We must commend him. Let me finish. Okay. Second, that the Prime Minister and the government table the report of the Commission of Experts. This is what is enabling democratic debates all around the country on the issue of the second and other pillars of the pension reform. Okay, I must say to the Honorable Leader of the Opposition, I was one of the main person and trade unionists who fought for the PRGF. Had it not been me, not been the General Workers' Federation, the joint negotiating panel of the sugar industry and other trade union, the PRGF that is here now wouldn't have been the same. At the time, I called the PRGF as a COPSA, because what was being presented by the then government was a PRGF that would have been meaningless. The first version that was presented was the PRGF who didn't cater for the 15 days as a matter of right to private sector worker of gratuity. It didn't cater. It was us who added the 4.5% and coupled it with the post services. Had it not been me and the trade unions, the General Workers' Federation, the GNP and other trade unions, the provision in the law of guaranteeing 15 days per year of service to workers wouldn't have existed. Third, had it not been me and the trade unions, the PRGF would have been a COPSA, because the provision was made that employers was enabled not to pay for the PRGF had they paid for the pension, private pension scheme. And it is us who made the amendment to amend the law so that if an employer contributes to a pension fund, the contribution cannot be less than what it would have been. No, you are on the PRGF. I'm refreshing your memory. Okay? I'm refreshing your memory, you know. Yeah, okay. I'm refreshing your memory on facts and what happened. Okay, you didn't stand there. I stand.
Minister.
Yes.
Next question.
Madam Speaker, the stark reality is that he's abolishing the PRGF today. And the Minister, Madam Speaker, he should stop sitting on the fence. No. Otherwise, he'll get stuck on the fence, Madam Speaker.
You're not asking a question. You're making
More
a
than
statement.
10 days after the budget, Madam Speaker, I believe that the Honourable Minister has taken full cognizance of the details of the pension reforms. Now, concerning the SAP, will the Honourable Minister inform the House on what basis has the sum of 11,589, I have to correct myself because last time I stated 598. It is 11,589 have been calculated?
I already replied to this question. We are awaiting the details from the Ministry of Finance. This is what I reply in the Committee of Supply. You were not here. And the details will be finalized. The issue is whether the people, workers and citizens will have their pension at the age of 60 at a reduced pension. This is the matter of discussion. It is being discussed. That's one. And the second is that we are focusing on the NPF and the PRGF. So I already replied. I wait for the next question.
Yes.
Now, will the Honourable Minister confirm to the House that once someone opts for that amount, he will be paid that amount for his lifetime?
The matter is under consideration. You will get the details when the government finalize, and it will be part of the finance bill. So,
Okay, next question.
We have an annex to the
Next
budget
question.
with us, and he's replying today that this is under consideration.
But that is, it seems,
Now, will the Honourable Minister confirm to the House that with the new system encouraging an elderly person to opt for his or her old pension at 70 years with the promise of earning more, while earning much less if they opt for the pension at 60 years is an insult to our elderly?
Again, you're asking him for his opinion. Leader of the opposition, this matter, I understand this is a very important matter, everybody. But this matter has already been thrashed out here. The whole issue was thrashed out, and his answer is that it's still being considered. That's what was said.
This is a democratic government, and this issue of the ministers is out because this issue is also linked to the ministers thing. So the matter no, I'm not confusing. You are confusing the people of this country. I'm saying that the matter is under discussion. We are following the democratic process. Maybe you don't know what it means. I know what it means for democratic process. Let me refresh your mind. Let me refresh your mind. In 2020, you presented a budget.
No, Minister.
You presented a budget and you did it.
Please sit down. We will not have this. We want questions and answers. We don't want either side to start.
I can find.
Yeah, we don't want that. Your friend is asking, are you going to give way?
Yes, I'll
Yes.
give later, Madam Speaker. Has the Honourable Minister been apprised of information related to members of the Commission of Experts on potential conflict of interest? And if yes, has he discussed the matter with the Honourable Prime Minister?
Let me say whatever I had to say on the committee of experts, its term of reference, its composition. I wrote to the Deputy Prime Minister and the Prime Minister. What I wrote in this letter, my views, this is private to the ex-Deputy Prime Minister and private to the Prime Minister.
Thank you. Next question.
I put a question in Parliament. He has to answer as a minister of this country, Madam Speaker. Can the Honourable Minister inform the House which retired pension mechanisms will be in place as from next month?
I already replied to this question, Madam Speaker.
Honourable Minister, I say it again. Are you aware of the confusion out there because our elderly have not understood the pension reforms that government will be implementing? And will you confirm, Honourable Minister, that there is a serious deficit of communication with regard to the pension reforms?
Okay, that's another question.
Yes.
Communication.
Yes, the Prime Minister communicate the stand of the government in the statement he made in Parliament about the freezing of the ministers. I'm answering this House. You are asking question. I'm here to reply to you and to the House and to the people. And the Prime Minister said that subsequently to your PNQ that the ministers thing is out. This is one. The second, very important issue is that the report, the PowerPoint presentation, which is the interim report, has been tabled in the National Assembly. And third, we are finalizing everything as a democratic government, as a government that listens to the people, that you were not listening. I must say, Madam Speaker, I'm afraid, I must say, I stood in front of the Treasury building in 2020.
No, Minister, please.
And they suppressed the dissent. They suppressed the opposition. Some was fair, one was more fair.
Honourable Leader.
Speaker, what is this?
Leader
A
of the
very,
opposition,
a
please.
very direct question again, Honourable Minister. Is it correct to say that as from January 2027, a person aged 62 years, his pension will decrease by 3,000 rupees?
As I stated, the matter is being finalized as a democratic government, and any specification on this issue will be within the finance bill that we presented to the National Assembly. The leader of the opposition will have an opportunity, as all the members of the Assembly, to present his views or challenge or opposition to what will be presented in the finance bill.
That's better.
I've got two
Okay.
questions, then I'll done, Madam Speaker. Is the Honourable Minister aware of the massive outcry from all the trade unions of this country on this pension reform?
Yes, I am. I am. These are many of them are my comrades. But let me say it loud and clear. The real arnaque du siècle happened on the 4th June 2020 during the presentation of the 2021 budget. Let me speak. Whereby the government led by Pravin Jagnnath with Ranganaden Padayati as Minister of Finance and supported by the Honourable Leader of the Opposition decided overnight to put an abrupt end to the Mauritian Contributory Retirement Pension System, that is the NPF. This sadly come in effect on September 1st, 2020. For the record, let me add that the then Minister of Finance has, let me reply.
Honourable Leader of the Opposition, do you again want to come and sit here? Yeah. You should let me, even if I don't do it as well as you would. Honourable Leader of the Opposition, Honourable Leader of the Opposition, Honourable Leader of the Opposition, you open the door. That doesn't mean to say, Honourable Minister, that you just walk into this. We don't need that. We are on PNQ. There's specific questions. You put specific questions, but you start talking of democracy and all that. Put questions on facts.
Madam Speaker, as you said, I've opened the door. It is for you to close the door as Speaker of this National Assembly. Madame la Présidente, est-ce que l'honorable ministre va participer au rassemblement des syndicats le 11 juillet?
That is most unfair.
I participated in the 11th July demonstration against your government and the dismantling of the NPF and the institution of the MIC, the famous MIC. And let me say, when my officers in the ministry, I've learned it afterward, when they refused what Ranganaden Padayati wanted, that is to use the money of the National Pension Fund to honor the promises of increase in old age pension, BRP. Then my officers refused, and the minister unilaterally, without consulting anyone, without seeking the opinion of any expert, decided to destroy the National Pension Fund. This was the arnaque du siècle. This is what brought us in this mess. Instead of raising the ceiling of the NPS, instead of applying the National Pension Scheme on the remuneration of the workers, so that we can get enough fund to pay the contribution, you destroyed it. What we are doing now is to refurbish it. Everybody can have their opinion, okay? Thanks to what many of us have been doing, that is prompting the report to be made public. You didn't make anything public, you just destroyed it. You just destroyed it. The NPF was just destroyed. You were the opposition, huh?
Minister, that's enough.
Okay. So the arnaque du siècle was from your government.
Minister,
The new system can be the subject of debate. You chose to pose the question, not me. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Normally, I have 2 minutes left, but I'll give 2 more minutes. Yes, Mr. Duval.
Madam Speaker, may I ask the Honourable Minister? Il a tenu des propos, la question va venir. Il a tenu des propos extrêmement graves le 22 juin 2026 en disant que lui et le Premier ministre ont tous les deux été induits en erreur, notamment par le président de la Commission, sur le fait,
What is your
je vais venir à la question, que la pension serait coupée. Il l'a dit. Maintenant qu'il a tenu ses propos, quelle action a-t-il envisagé et recommandé au Premier ministre et au gouvernement pour que des actions sévères soient prises contre cette commission, son président et les propos dont il a été induit en erreur sur un sujet aussi important?
Let me say whatever has been said in the media and the public on the end, yes, let me finish. On the 22nd of June, the Prime Minister, after consulting all the ministers, but not all the ministers, some of his ministers, consulting the partners in the alliance, that is the MMM, the Resistance and Alternative, and other MPs, decided to freeze. This is what happened. What is important is what happened. You are asking the question, let me sit down because even more. No, the statement that the Prime Minister decided, and then the Prime Minister said that the minister's thing is out. And very importantly, I'm saying again that the report was tabled. This is now sparking positively a debate in the country, and whatever will be decided democratically within the framework of the Constitution, within the framework of National Assembly, law enactment, and debates. This would be my answer, Madam Speaker.
Yes.
Madam Speaker,
Bear
thank
with
you.
me. You have.
A very short
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
Est-ce que le ministre est conscient qu'il est devenu le mal-aimé de tous les travailleurs de ce pays
Non,
et à part la politique, Madame la Présidente?
One thing.
Ça, c'est vraiment.
I don't have blood in my hand. I don't have blood on my hand. Let it be remembered. I don't have the blood and planting on my hand. I don't have on my hand the issue of suppressing dissent. I was a victim. Many people were the victim of suppressing dissent. One thing that is different, this government is not suppressing dissent. You suppress dissent. And went as far as opposition people was
Time is up.
thrown in the sugarcane
Time is
field,
up.
burning.
Honorable members, the deputy speaker will take the chair for the moment. I'll be back.
Question. Honorable Etoya.
911, B911, please.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, Section 20 of the Immigration Act provides that an immigration officer may admit to Mauritius a tourist, a businessman, and any other visitor, and such persons shall be issued with a visa specifying the conditions thereof and the authorized period of stay in Mauritius. Regulation 25 of the Passport Regulations 1968 requires every non-citizen entering Mauritius to meet the following immigration requirements. A passport which is valid beyond the intended period of stay. B, a valid return passage ticket to travel back to his or her country of origin or residence. C, should be eligible to re-enter his country of origin or her country of origin or residence. D, adequate funds to meet the cost of his stay. E, have confirmed hotel booking or sponsorship for accommodation. F, not engage in any gainful activity. And G, not be a prohibited immigrant. Any non-citizen who fails to meet any of the immigration requirement is not admitted to Mauritius, irrespective of his nationality. Madam Speaker, Mauritius has a very liberal, Mr. Deputy Speaker, Mauritius has a very liberal visa regime up to now. In 2026, Mauritius has been ranked 10th out of 199 countries by the Henley Openness Index, which is a global ranking that measures the number of nationalities that a country allows entry without a prior visa. This, Mr. Deputy Speaker, is no longer acceptable because of the risk are much higher today. The latest example is what happened in Monaco just yesterday. This is why we are readdressing this issue. While most of the foreigners obtain visas on arrival, nationals of some countries are required to apply and obtain a visa before entering Mauritius. Section 12 of the Passports Act provides for the minister to prescribe countries the nationals of which should obtain a visa before entering Mauritius. Presently, there are 15 countries which fall under this category, and these countries are listed in the 11th schedule of the passports regulations. The countries in the 11th schedule of the passport regulations are prescribed after due consideration of several factors, including but not limited to the following: A, security concerns; B, international relations; C, immigration policy; and D, risk of abuse of visa. According to the guidelines issued by the Passport and Immigration Office, nationals from these countries have to apply for a visa at least 1 month before the intended date of travel. Subject to all documents being in order, the PLO takes around 12 working days to determine the applications for the visa. I must point out, Mr. Deputy Speaker, that nationals from the listed countries are free to come to Mauritius and is visa-free for them too. Over and above the immigration requirements, the Passport and Immigration Office carries out additional security checks. Mr. Deputy Speaker, as I announced in the budget speech of 2026-2027, a new digital system will be introduced to enable all non-citizens from all countries without distinction to apply and obtain an e-visa. The e-visa will reduce the risk of bona fide persons entering Mauritius and will also reduce queues at arrival at airports. My office is already working on that project.
Okay. B912 will be replied by the Honorable Minister of Art and Culture. So, Honorable Second Member for Grand B, Oudodo.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Sir, B913.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, I wish to refer the Honourable Member to the reply of parliamentary question B364 at the sitting of 15th of April 2025, wherein the House was informed that during the period December 2014 to December 2024, Air Mauritius Limited had disposed of 4 aircrafts, namely one A340-300 in January 2018, 2 A319-100 in June 2021, and one A330-200 aircraft in November of 2021. The House was also informed that in June 2021, Air Mauritius entered into a consignment agreement with a private company for the disassembling of the 2 A340-300 aircraft. The net loss incurred for the sale of these aircraft was approximately 1.2 billion rupees. As regards to part A of the question, I'm informed that Air Mauritius had that the 4 aircraft which were sold between 2014 and 2024 had been in service for a period ranging from 12 to 23 years at the time of sale. I'm also advised that information pertaining to the total proceeds received from these sales cannot be disclosed in view of the confidentiality clauses contained in the sales agreement. With regards to part B of the question, I'm informed that during the same period, Air Mauritius Limited phased in 11 aircraft into its fleet. Out of these 11 aircrafts, 1 was purchased directly, 2 through finance leases, and 8 through operating leases. As mentioned earlier, the total cost of purchase and lease rentals for these 11 aircrafts again cannot be disclosed due to the confidentiality clauses in the lease purchase agreements. Regarding part B3 of the question, I'm informed by Air Mauritius that during the period 2014 to 2024, 11 aircrafts were grounded for a total of 100 times. The reasons for the groundings were essentially due to various technical issues, unavailability of spare parts and spare engines, and supply chain constraints. I wish to inform the House, Mr. Deputy Speaker, that in reply to parliamentary question 1191 on the 9th of December 2025, I informed the House that the Board of Air Mauritius Limited had appointed Kroll Middle East Consultancy Limited to conduct an independent forensic investigation with the following terms of reference. One, the rationale for the sale and disposal of 5 aircrafts during the voluntary administration in 2020-2021. A 6th aircraft, namely an A340-300, was sold in 2018 but did not form part of the Kroll investigation as it did not relate to the COVID and the Air Mauritius voluntary administration period. 2, the leasing of two 330-200 aircraft in 2022. And 3, the order of 1 additional A350-900 aircraft in 2023. I'm informed that the Board of Air Mauritius met on the 25th and 29th of June 2026 to examine the report which was submitted by Kroll. After considering the report, the board has treated the matters identified in the Kroll report with the utmost seriousness and has resolved to take all necessary and appropriate steps to protect the interests of the company, including referring relevant matters to the competent authorities, namely the Financial Crimes Commission and the police. 2, seeking any civil remedies available to the company. 3, initiating appropriate disciplinary proceedings in accordance with legal requirements. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I understand that there has been concerted acts of conduct on the part of the former chairperson of Airport Holdings Limited and a number of senior Air Mauritius officials to favor the leasing of aircraft by Air Mauritius from a very specific lessor. Such conduct could tantamount to a criminal conspiracy to prejudice the other bidders and Air Mauritius Limited. Furthermore, I understand that falsified and misleading reports were submitted to the then board in the full knowledge of 2 persons, namely the former chairperson of Airport Holdings Limited, Mr. Ken Oyan, and the former chief executive officer of Air Mauritius, Mr. Kaku Limited, with the objective of justifying the purchase of an additional A350-900 aircraft from Airbus, contrary to the other internal reports to the effect that the A330 aircraft, rather than an A350 aircraft, was going to be in the best economic interest of Air Mauritius Limited. They simply ignored that objection. I also understand that the lease of an aircraft from the particular lessor has been preceded by inspections of the aircraft overseas by Air Mauritius officials and other persons. The inspection reports omitted essential matters affecting the airworthiness of the leased aircraft. This led Air Mauritius to incur massive expenses to make the aircraft airworthy. Air Mauritius intends to institute disciplinary proceedings against the responsible officers. Finally, Mr. Deputy Speaker, I understand that the former administrators of Air Mauritius Limited, namely Mr. Sattar Abdullah, could be sued for damages for negligence in connection with the disposal of an A332 aircraft during the period of administration of Air Mauritius Limited, as government bailout money was used to repay foreign creditors and SBM holdings in circumstances showing clear negligence by the administrators in the exercise of the duty.
Yes. The Honourable Third Member for Portary South and Portary Central.
B914, please.
Madam Speaker, Mr. Deputy Speaker, with regard to part A1, 2, and 3 of the question, I'm informed by the Commissioner of Police that for the period 1st of January 2021 to the 25th of June 2026, a total of 611 new firearm licenses were issued. 4,264 licenses were renewed, 8 licenses were revoked, and no firearm licenses were suspended. During the same period, 4 firearms were reported lost, 14 were reported stolen, 10 were classified as unaccounted for. There were 32 recorded incidents involving licensed firearms, resulting in injuries and fatalities, and criminal investigations were initiated. I'm tabling the details requested by the Honourable Member. With regard to Part B of the question, I'm informed that pursuant to Section 7 and 8 of the Firearms Act 2006, an applicant must satisfy the following eligibility criteria before a firearm license may be granted. 1, he must hold a valid competency certificate, which is issued by the Commissioner of Police upon successful completion of the prescribed training and pass the required test. 2, he or she must be of 18 years of age or more and must be a citizen of Mauritius. 3, be a fit and proper person to possess or deal with firearms. 4, be physically fit and stable and have a stable mental condition. 5, not be dependent on intoxicating or narcotic substances. 6, have not been convicted under the Firearms Act. 7, have no convictions involving firearms, domestic violence, or dangerous drugs, whether in Mauritius or abroad. 8, not pose any risk to public safety or public order. 9, have a good reason for possessing the firearm. And 10, have adequate and secure storage arrangements for the safe custody of firearms and ammunition. Mr. Deputy Speaker, pursuant to Section 12 of the Firearms Act of 26, a firearm license is renewable for yearly periods ending on the 31st of December unless previously suspended or cancelled. Renewal is effected upon application made by the license holder and is subject to the production of the firearm and any ammunition in respect of which the license was issued. The firearm license book issued by the Commissioner of Police and a valid competency certificate must also be shown. Renewal is granted upon compliance with these statutory requirements.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. May I ask the Honorable Prime Minister whether he has information from the Commissioner of Police regarding whether a national ballistic database exists to assist law enforcement agencies in linking firearms used in criminal offenses, and if not, whether consideration is to be given to establish one.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, I missed the beginning of the question.
Whether a national ballistic database exists. And if it does not exist, which would assist those involved in enforcement agencies, that could be considered to be established in the future, if I may say, regarding recent case of firearm where a young gentleman was shot dead on a leased land recently.
Where, Mr. Deputy Speaker, that they can do ballistic tests in Mauritius.
And the last one, may I ask, thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. May I ask the Honorable Prime Minister whether this Commissioner of Police has given him any information of measures that are in place to prevent licensed firearms, those that were given duly licensed by the authorities, from being diverted into the illegal market through theft, loss, or unlawful resale. Thank you.
The police is well aware of this. I mentioned a few cases here, and they investigate those cases.
The Honourable Fourth Member for Portreach North and Moat Island.
B915. Mr. Deputy Speaker, with your permission, I will reply to parliamentary question B915 and B918 together as they relate to the same subject matter. With regard to parliamentary question B915, as I have stated in my reply to the private notice question on the 25th of June 2026, the Commission of Experts was set up in September 2025 to examine and make appropriate recommendations on the 3 pillars of the pension system, namely the basic non-contributory pensions, including basic retirement pension, basic invalidity pension, and basic widow's pension. B, the contributory pension schemes, and C, the voluntary private pensions, including personal retirement saving plans and occupational pension schemes offered by employers. I'm informed, Mr. Deputy Speaker, by the Commission that since its establishment, it has convened a total of 27 meetings. Of these, 19 were held between November 2025 and March 2026, with a wide range of stakeholders, including representatives of trade unions, of Business Mauritius, of the Senior Citizens Council, of the Ministry of Labour and Industrial Relations, of the Ministry of Public Service and Administrative Reforms, the Financial Services Commission, and other organizations, including pension fund administrators and civil society groups. I'm further informed by the Commission that it held a press conference on the 4th of November 2025 to inform the public of its mandate. And at the press conference, the Commission also highlighted the challenges facing the country's pension system and underscored the need for reform to ensure the long-term sustainability of the system. Furthermore, an email address was made available to invite members of the public to submit their views and proposals on pension reform. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I'm also informed that the Commission has established 3 subcommittees to examine key aspects of the pension system. Specifically, the subcommittees were tasked with reviewing A, the non-contributory basic retirement pension, B, the reform of the National Pensions Fund, the contribution of the Social Généralisé, CSG, the Portable Retirement Gratuity Fund, and the National Savings Fund, and C, the pension schemes applicable to the public sector. The first subcommittee on the non-contributory BRP had convened 27 meetings. The second subcommittee, tasked with reviewing the NPF, CSG, RPGF, and NSF, had 14 meetings, and the third subcommittee on public sector pension schemes had 10 meetings. In all, therefore, the subcommittees had 51 meetings in total. I'm further informed that all the meetings of the Commission of Experts were held before the submission of its interim report, with the exception of 2 meetings which were convened on the 26th of May 2026 and 18th of June 2026. These were done to take on board the comments and suggestions made to the steering committee. Mr. Deputy Speaker, with regard to Parliament question B918, as the House is aware, the Steering Committee on Pension Reform was set up on the 26th of September 2025, a ministerial committee chaired by myself and including the then Deputy Prime Minister, the Minister of Agro-Industry, Food Security, Blue Economy and Fisheries, the Minister of Social Integration, Social Security and National Solidarity, the Minister of Financial Services and Economic Planning, the Minister of Labour and Industrial Relations, the Minister of Industry, SMEs and Cooperatives, the Junior Minister of Finance, and the Junior Minister of Social Integration, Social Security and National Solidarity. At a meeting of the Steering Committee held on the 20th of May 2026, the Commission of Experts presented its findings and recommendations. Members of the Steering Committee made a number of comments and suggestions which were then duly taken into consideration by the Commission in finalizing its interim report. The Commission thereafter submitted its interim report, a copy of which I have laid on the table of the National Assembly. Furthermore, the Steering Committee was informed that the recommendations regarding the state age pension and the conversion of the National Pensions Fund into the National Pension and Provident Fund were validated by the social pension specialists of the World Bank. In reply, Mr. Deputy Speaker, in reply to the PNQ of last Thursday, 25th of June, I tabled the version of the interim report which was presented to the Steering Committee on May the 2026. That is the version which was done by slides. This was presented. Today, I'm further tabling the full version of the interim report, which includes inter alia the projections of the cost of the basic retirement pension under the arrangements applicable in June 2024 and June 2025, as well as those presented in the budget speech of 2026-2027. The full version will also be made available on the website of the Ministry of Finance. The interim report clearly shows, Mr. Deputy Speaker, that the unfunded, non-contributory basic retirement pension has already reached an unsustainable level, which is putting tremendous pressure on public finances, as well as putting at risk the payment of pensions to future generations. Mr. Deputy Speaker, many people may not realize it, but there is another elephant. I spoke of an elephant in the room, but there is another elephant in the room that has gone unnoticed. The accumulated deficits in the defined benefit schemes of the statutory bodies and in the closed National Pension Fund. Based on the latest actuarial valuations, the funding deficit in the pension schemes of the statutory bodies was estimated at 53 billion rupees, while that at the NPF stood at 113 billion rupees, representing a combined deficit of 166 billion rupees, that is more than 20% of the current GDP. As the actuarial valuation for the NPF dates back to 2020, it is very likely that the financial position of the pension fund has deteriorated further, owing, among others, to the increasing life expectancy among scheme members and pensioners, and the contribution rates that have not kept pace with the scheme's long-term funding requirements. The previous government has done nothing, absolutely nothing, to address the structural challenges facing the pension system in a comprehensive and timely manner. On the contrary, it has aggravated the situation with its irresponsible decisions and the introduction of the CSG, and these have compounded the deficits and the unsustainability of the pension system. In view of the fiscal challenges facing the country and the urgency of restoring the long-term sustainability of the pension system, government considered it necessary to act without delay on the recommendations of the Commission of Experts. Accordingly, it was decided to implement the reforms relating to the basic retirement pension and other important aspects of the pension system as part of the 2026-2027 budget. This reform aimed at putting the pension system on a more sustainable footing while ensuring that future generations continue to benefit from a viable and equitable retirement income system. Our primary concern, Mr. Deputy Speaker, has always been to put in place a system wherein equity is measured as redistribution within generation from high to low income earners and across generations in the form of sustainable tax burden.
I've listened very carefully to the Prime Minister. It is not clear whether the steering committee has in fact been apprised of the report, whether it has been submitted, and whether it deliberated upon it. I will ask the Honourable Prime Minister whether, in regard to what the Minister of Social Security stated on the 22nd of June publicly, that the report was never submitted to the steering committee and not debated upon, whether this is rather the course of action that was taken by government.
He never said that. He said that there was a meeting of the steering committee, and they showed us the findings on a slide system. That was what was shown to all of them. All the main points were there. And this is what I depose. I'm prepared to depose the whole, now that it is ready, the whole, if someone wants to take it, the whole of the interim report.
I have a last question.
Okay.
I would like to ask the Honourable Prime Minister, again in regard to what the Honourable Minister of Social Security stated in his public announcement, that himself, that is the Prime Minister, and the Minister of Social Security ont été induits en erreur to the fact that the pensions would be cut from existing pensioners. And I would like to ask the Prime Minister if that is exactly what has happened or not, to clear up that matter.
He answered that question just now, but you're still not satisfied. What we did, Mr. Deputy Speaker, is people were complaining that their pension was going to be at 65, although it was done on a gradual basis, not sudden. There was no sudden change to the pension scheme. But because some people were complaining, like some people do some work that are difficult, like les maçons, etc., we decided we can correct this and allow them the option to take the pension at the age of 60. That's what we did. The other bit that you're saying, we decided after consultation with the Honorable Minister and other members, including members of the Labour Party, we decided now to put out this means testing, so that this doesn't, because many people were not accepting it. So we decided to put it out for the moment, and we're really looking at the system.
No, last question.
It is not what the Honourable Minister of Social Security stated. He stated that on the 16th of
Put
June...
your question to the Prime
That is
Minister.
the
Don't
question.
refer to what the Honourable Minister stated.
Yes, whether the Honourable Prime Minister will...
Prime Minister wasn't there when he stated
I am
that.
asking my question,
The Prime
whether
Minister.
the Honourable Prime Minister will, in reply to what has been stated to the Ministry of Social Security, that he himself and the Ministry of Social Security were told, assurances were given that the pension would not be cut, when it was in fact the contrary that has been announced 2-3 days later, whether this is exactly what happened in his office on that day or not. That is the question.
The answer is no. Simple, no. We're not cutting any pension. We have changed the system because it became unsustainable because of the government. You sat there with them and destroyed the pension scheme. As the Honorable Minister just said, this is what the anarchy is.
Honorable First Member for Wakwa Royal.
B 916.
This will be the last question.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, as a small island developing state with an exclusive economic zone of around 2.2 million square kilometers, Mauritius faces significant marine security challenges that extend well beyond its capabilities due to its limited resources. These challenges include illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing, drug trafficking, transnational organized crime, irregular migration, piracy, climate change, and the protection of critical maritime infrastructure, to name but a few. No single country, Mr. Deputy Speaker, in the Western Indian Ocean can effectively address these challenges in isolation. Mauritius has consistently pursued a policy of strengthening bilateral, regional, and international partnerships to enhance its maritime security, law enforcement, and disaster capabilities. In this regard, Mauritius enjoys long-standing cooperation with friendly countries and international organizations such as India, France, the United Kingdom, the United States of America, the European Union, Interpol, and the UNODC. Through joint exercises, capacity building, information sharing, maritime domain awareness initiatives, technical assistance, and training programs. These partnerships are essential in enhancing the capabilities of Mauritius to ensure its maritime surveillance while reinforcing regional security and stability in the Indian Ocean. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the State Partnership Program with the New Mexico National Guard and the proposed acquisition and cross-servicing agreement with the government of the United States of America, a cooperation agreement aimed at safeguarding security in our EEZ. I'm informed by the Commissioner of Police that the objective of the State Partnership Program Agreement, which was signed on the 22nd of May 2026, is to establish an enduring institutional partnership through professional exchanges, technical cooperation, and capacity building. The agreement creates no legal or financial obligations on us and is centered on knowledge sharing and professional cooperation. The scope of the State Partnership Program includes 1, capacity building and professional training, 2, humanitarian assistance, disaster preparedness and response, 3, maritime and border security cooperation, 4, cybersecurity and emerging security threats, and 5, operational planning and crisis management. In regard to the acquisition and cross-servicing agreement, Cabinet has approved its signing in May 2026, and it is expected that the agreement will be signed shortly. The acquisition and cross-serving agreement is an instrument to facilitate the reciprocal provision of logistic support between the government of Mauritius and that of the United States of America during authorized activities, such as joint exercises, training, humanitarian assistance, disaster relief operations, and other mutually agreed cooperative arrangements. Under the proposed agreement, the support, supplies, and services include the provision of food, water, fuel, temporary accommodation, transportation, medical services, training services, repair and maintenance services, and port services where permitted by the national laws of both parties. Such support may only be provided upon mutual agreement and on a reimbursable or equal value exchange basis. In other words, if you give them food, they have to pay for it, whatever. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I wish to inform the House that neither the State Partnership Program nor the proposed acquisition and cross-servicing agreement constitutes a military alliance or a defense treaty. There is no provision in any of these two agreements to authorize the establishment of foreign military bases, the permanent stationing of foreign military personnel, or the transfer of weapons. All cooperation remains subject to the laws of Mauritius and the sovereign decisions of the government of Mauritius. These frameworks are intended solely to strengthen the operational capabilities, resilience, and preparedness of Mauritius in addressing contemporary security challenges through cooperation with trusted international partners.
Yes.
Merci. L'honorable Premier ministre peut-il informer la Chambre si le dossier des Chagos a été évoqué durant les négociations pour la signature de ces accords.
This is a separate issue. It hasn't been involved in that.
Last one, because time is already over.
Dans le même esprit démocratique et de transparence auquel faisait référence un peu plus tôt l'honorable Soubon, l'honorable Premier ministre peut-il déposer sur la table de l'Assemblée le texte intégral du State Partnership Program Agreement et de l'Acquisition and Cross-Servicing Agreement pour que le public et les députés puissent en prendre connaissance?
And I said there's no defense agreement or whatever. I would be prepared to do it, but I will have to check with the United States whether they agree.
Okay, time is over. The table has been advised that the following PQs have been withdrawn: B919, B923, B921. Now we go to question addressed to honorable ministers. The honorable third member for Flak and Bonacay.
B924.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, allow me to thank the honorable member for this pertinent PQ. In fact, this PQ touches at one of the most despicable changes in the assessment and curriculum framework ever done in our system of education. Let me refer to the midterm evaluation of the extended program by the World Bank, which highlighted two fundamental questions, which were as follows. What is the evidence that extended program students are progressing as intended? Second, to what extent is the teaching and learning program, for example, choice of learning area, type and amount of content to be covered, suitable for EP students? In their conclusion in June 2020, the experts who carried out the midterm evaluation of the extended program by the World Bank said the following, I quote, "Most students within the EP were functioning academically at a primary school level, several grade levels behind where they should be, and learning improvement had not taken place at a sufficiently rapid pace." Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, the extended program neither provided the students with a curriculum framework suited to their needs, nor prepared them adequately to join any technical or vocational institution. The honorable member is himself an educator who has worked with both extended stream students in the past, and is now working with the foundation program. He can make a first-hand evaluation of the huge difference between these two. If I'm not mistaken, the member teaches his students civic education and community service.
Can you reply to the question, please?
Yes, I will.
Yeah.
Why am I saying this? Because the figures...
Okay.
Okay. So for 2022, 1,950 students were examined, 1,879 failed. 2023, 2,149 students were examined, 1,957 failed. 2024, 2,275 students were examined, 2,091 failed. 2025, 1,460 students were examined, 1,382 failed the exam. That is why, Mr. Deputy Speaker was explaining why the curriculum and assessment framework were not suited for these kids. Number of students who joined a vocational and training institution, 2023, 569, 24, 1,001, 25, 1,047, 2026, 740. That is why, Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, we brought the foundation program to cure this pedagogical problem that was there.
Okay. The Honorable First Member for Vacroft Royal.
B925.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, I shall reply to the question. Now, I wish to inform the House of a wastewater spill incident which occurred on the 10th of June 2026 at around 14:00 hours from a broken sewer pipe of diameter 280 millimeters located near the SLDC pumping station belonging to the Wastewater Management Authority at Tatukenik Industrial Zone, following excavation work carried out by the contractor, Gokul Engineering and Construction Company Limited, for laying of PVC pipe. Now, this resulted in the discharge of around 400 meter cube of effluent into the natural water path leading to Canal Golden, Pointe-Sable. Mr. Deputy Speaker, with regard to part A of the question, several measures to contain the spillage and reduce the environmental impact on the environment as part of the decontamination were initiated by the contractor in consultation with officers of the Ministry of Environment, Solid Waste Management and Climate Change, the Ministry of Agro-Industry, Food Security, Blue Economy and Fisheries, Wastewater Management Authority, and the City Council of Port-Louis. Now, these measures included the following: repair of the broken sewer pipe, which was completed on the 11th June 2026. B, temporary stoppage of discharge of effluent by nearby textile industry into the damaged sewer network. C, pumping of effluent from casualty sites situated at Tatukenik Industrial Zone. D, removal of dead fish and other aquatic organisms from Canal Golden to attenuate odors. And E, pumping of accumulated wastewater in the Canal Golden bordering Pointe-Sable public beach by wastewater carriers. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, as at 20th June 2026, around 3,800 cubic meters, including wastewater from the trenches and Canal Golden, have been pumped out and collected jointly by the Wastewater Management Authority and the appointed representative of the contractor and the close supervision of the Department of Environment of the Ministry concerned. The collected wastewater was subsequently conveyed to Montagne-Zakou Wastewater Treatment Plant for advanced primary treatment. I'm informed that the Wastewater Management Authority had, on the 19th of June 2026, submitted an interim claim amounting to almost 1 million rupees, 941,027.28 cents, to the contractor and representing the optional expenses and asset deployment for mitigation of the environmental nuisances near SLDC pumping station. I wish to reassure the House that the general public was regularly apprised of the situation through communique issued by the Minister of Environment, Solid Waste Management and Climate Change on the 13th, 15th, 16th, and 21st June 2026 by the Wastewater Management Authority on the 16th of June 2026. In accordance with Section 109 of the Environment Act 2024, the Minister of Environment, Solid Waste Management and Climate Change served a program notice upon the contractor on the 15th of June 2026, requesting the submission of a written program of measures within 2 days. The request made by the contractor for an extension of 1 week to compile, review, and submit a program of measures based on the findings of the test results of the sediment and water samples taken was approved on the 19th June 2026, subject to the following conditions. 1, the contractor continues the pumping operation until the waters comply with existing laws. 2, the contractor undertakes necessary measures at its level and own costs to ensure monitoring on a regular basis by an independent accredited lab of the water quality in the canal and lagoons, including the analysis of sediment for 10 trace metals. And this in coordination with the National Environmental Laboratory of the Ministry of Environment, Solid Waste Management and Climate Change, and Blue Economy Fisheries Division of my ministry. And the result of the analysis is expected, and I hope we'll have the result by the 2nd July 2026. Mr. Deputy Speaker, on submission of the program measures on the 23rd June 2026 by the contractor, a consultative meeting was subsequently held on the 25th June 2026 to consider the measures and assess the implementation on site. The following was agreed as part of the decontamination strategy of the site. 1, removal of solid debris present in the affected water course, including cans, plastic material, and branches by the City Council of Port-Louis, which started as from 25th June 2026 up to 30th June 2026. 2, after the cleanup operation, desilting of the canal bed up to a depth of 15 centimeters to start as from July 2026 during the low tide, and the sediment removed from the canal bed will be sent to l'Agrément Saint-Pierre, the yard owned by the engineering company. The services of specialized firm will be contracted to treat and remediate the affected sediment. 3, the sediment will be replaced by sand obtained from commercially operated sand quarries. 4, continued monitoring will be maintained by the Minister of Environment and Agro-Industry. And 3, the Forestry Services and National Park and Conservation Service of the Minister of Agro-Industry, Food Security, Blue Economy and Fisheries will advise on plants and species for the rehabilitation of the vegetation along the canal and natural water path. Pursuant to the program of measures submitted, the costs of the remediation will be borne by the contractor in line with the polluter pays principle. Mr. Deputy Speaker, with regard to part B of the question, I'm informed that the matter has been reported to Pointe-Noire Police Station via OB 585/2026 by the Sergeant in Charge, Chief of the Pointe-Noire Police Station on the 11th June 2026. The case has been referred to the Central Investigation Division for investigation on the 24th June 2026, and the investigation is still ongoing.
Yes.
Ainsi, toujours dans le même esprit de transparence, l'honorable ministre pourrait-il déposer sur la table de l'Assemblée les résultats des analyses environnementales effectuées, les rapports d'enquête qu'il aurait à sa disposition concernant cet incident, et pourrait-il indiquer si des cas de problèmes de santé susceptibles d'être liés à cet incident ont été signalés aux autorités sanitaires à cause de la contamination bactériologique et chimique?
The honourable member can rest assured that all relevant information will be laid on the table of the Assembly. As you know, there have been preliminary results. I can submit the preliminary results without any hiccup. But as to the firm results, we'll have to wait for the lab to submit its report. As to the other reports, we have no problem, but the honourable member does realize that we've addressed this problem forcefully, meaningfully, to make sure that no one suffers from the outcome of this disaster.
Okay, I suspend. Il y avait l'autre question?
Aux mesures correctives, le ministre peut-il indiquer, surtout à la lumière des communiqués de la WMA, est-ce qu'il pourrait indiquer si des manquements opérationnels, techniques ou administratifs, mais surtout techniques, auraient été identifiés et auraient contribué à cet incident, et quelles mesures disciplinaires ou correctives ont été envisagées?
In fact, I've replied to that question. I've said that that polluters must pay, and the engineering company has to live up to its expectation and has to assume its responsibility fully and pay according to provisions of the law in relation to compensation that has to be disbursed.
I suspend the sitting for one and a half hours.